Another comparison, the A99ii versus the Sony A7S2. As you know, the A7S2 is the absolute master in low light, and we want to compare its performance versus the A-mount flagship camera. First comparison is at ISO 12800, and A99's image size had to be reduced by 53% in order to match dimensions of files from A7S2. You can appreciate that A99 has a well-defined, very little grain, which is given by the noise, while these pictures from the A7S2 are washed off in a way, so you don't appreciate the grain. You see that is in the background, but is washed off. The differences in terms of details, quality of the image is dramatic in favor of this A99ii, and as we learned from previous videos, these grain tissues are the killer comparison. Let's go up with the ISO. Now we compare 25,600. Similar profile, very fine defined grain for A99ii, and washed off, less visible, more diffuse grain for A7S2. This picture speaks from themselves. If you look at the detail of this high contrast portion, you can read the A99, but you can't the A7 II. The color palette is a clear plus for A99ii, as well as the label here of the bottom. Pencil, assume you appreciate that you have margin to further reduce the noise on the A99, while the detail is still greater and you could work on the file. A7S is at its limit. Is very unfair to compare this portion of the picture. A99ii wins with no question. Let's go to a lower ISO picture and continue to compare the downscaled image from A99 Mark II by 53% with the A7S2. The yellow homogeneous color of the olive oil bottle is nicer, better defined on the A99. The tissues, the pink, the reds, and now the greens are objectively not comparable. The A99 has less noise and better detail at this lower ISO. I want to also show here that the pictures have been taken with the same 1/800 time and aperture, so this means that there is no disadvantage from the A99ii given by the translucent mirror according to these pictures here. The pencils are nicer, better defined, clearer on the A99ii. Let's look at details of the man with the violin on the bottle. You can appreciate that A99 wins. On the color palette, again, the A7S looks washed off. Yes, less grain, but bigger and melted kind of. On the bottle, fine details, no comparison, no question. A99 wins. The most detailed part of the picture here, the eye contrast text, readable on the A99, unreadable on the A7S2. Fine details of the fibers, again, is dramatic in favor of the A99ii. So, what can we conclude? A bit ironically, we can conclude that for high ISO performance, is worth upgrading the Sony A7S2 to the new A-mount Sony A99 Mark II. I'm saying ironic because everybody appreciates that today the A7S2 is the absolute master in low light performance. Perhaps if you exclude some of the 6,000 bucks and higher priced flagship full frame cameras from Nikon. All in all, unless you have a significant amount of E-mount glasses, we strongly recommend you to sell your A7S2 and switch to the A99ii for low light performance. Of course, based on the pictures that we have used as a reference, which come from imagingresearch.com with a comparameter tool, which allows direct comparison of all the cameras, and the pictures used here in this video have been downloaded and compared on a higher resolution screen.